Okay, great. Hey guys, welcome. We're back for the last and final installment of Conversations on a Bench. And we got a pretty special guest. We saved the best for last. I'm sure that's what he'll say as well. We have a special guest sitting on the bench with me, and if his father ever gets here, his father will be with us too. So we've got Colts receiver Josh Downs. He's been a friend of Wheeler's, since last year. And he's been partnering with us. His foundation has been working with us, we first partnered on something called Colts Caring Mondays. Where Colts they have really essentially paid for all the food at our men's and women's shelters on Mondays, and so that was a start for us. And so who knows where it's going to go from there. Josh, welcome. Thanks for having a conversation with me on the bench.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate you. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
World Homeless Day. I'm very excited for what y'all are doing. Y'all are greatly appreciated, and just want to keep helping in any way.
Thanks a lot. And I tell everybody, I apologize right off the bat. This bench is not the most comfortable bench there is.
No, I think I did a pretty good job right here. I think
Yeah.
I did a pretty good job.
But it's got a story. We have a drug and alcohol addiction recovery program down in Bloomington, and the guys in the program who are going through it, they for their day jobs at the camp, they make pallets, right? Wood pallets. And so we asked them to make a special wood bench for us to use for our first ever Conversations on the Bench. And so
this is impressive then. I like it.
Yeah.
And it is comfortable no matter what he said.
Yeah, okay.
He's been on here for a lot longer than me, so obviously it's a little different. I just sat down, but it's good for me.
Yeah. Well, he's an athlete too, so it don't bother him. He's got muscles on his butt. I don't, right? So, and I'm sure that's the part that's going to go viral. Hey, Josh, so just wanted you just tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come to get involved with Wheeler and care about homelessness? I mean, I don't know if there's a personal story there or anything like that, but if you could just share with us and the folks on Facebook Live and YouTube, why do you care?
Yeah, so always been fortunate. My dad, he played in the NFL. My mom's been a teacher for a long time, and we've always been taught to give back. And when I was in middle school, high school, we got in a bit of a weird situation with living, and we were kind of moving from house to house, living with friends in different places for a couple months out the year, and I kind of just didn't like the feeling of not having a home base and not being able to just set my feet anywhere. So I think it stems from there, and then also just growing up, God has blessed me with so much, and I feel like homelessness is just something that you can easily give back to. I mean, I feel like I always try to give money to people I see homeless on the streets, just talk to them, just tell them everything's gonna be okay, and then every time I have clothes at the house, any extra things, Miss Felicia at Wheeler House, I'd literally bring her bags of clothing every couple months, just giving her shoes, clothes, jackets, jeans, just anything I can to just help those guys in there, because I just feel like that's what I can do. And then want to get back to help serve the lunch and do anything possible I can.
Because they literally have nothing when they come through our doors. So last night, I get a report every day. And last night we saw a little over 700 men, women, and children last night. And it's not even cold yet, right? So when it starts to get cold in the cold months, that number could push 800, 900 or even 1,000 a night.
Yes, sir.
And so any little bit can help, and it's just good knowing that other people care. We're there for them, and it's just heartwarming that a superstar like you, and you are a superstar, don't even try to be modest, go Colts, right?
Yes, sir.
We're so happy and so proud of the Colts, and you are one of the stars of the Colts. And so it's really something special when someone like you who could be doing a lot of other things, you reach down and you don't forget others who are less fortunate than you. And so it's heartwarming to know kind of a part of your story.
Yes,
and I'm sure people didn't know that about you and your family.
No, it's a little different of how it went down, but I feel like just being just how I was raised. You give back where you can. You do as much of that as possible, and then I mean that's just huge. I mean, giving back to people that really need it. And then me and my brother, we have this foundation now, the Downs Family Foundation.
Okay.
And that's that is the most important piece of the whole foundation, helping homeless people any way we can. We've done a couple events, and I love working with Wheeler Mission.
Yeah.
They do an incredible job in there, like you said. 700 last night, but it's a cold area in Indianapolis. So when you really think about it, like even waking up this morning, it was like 40 degrees, and it's like some people may not even have a jacket, and they're just out there all night. So it's like you run into your car like, oh, it's freezing, but it's like some people go through that every day. So being able to give back coats and just food and help them stay in the shelter is huge, because one night can save a life.
Yeah. So what we're doing is, I told you a little bit about it. Conversations on a Bench. There's a 70 other CEOs in different cities around the country doing the same thing that I'm doing here in Indianapolis. And I know they're talking to local sports stars in the area, but they don't have somebody like Josh Downs, right? And so he's not, I just want you to know, he's not doing this for publicity. Because the people, Josh, that we see, they're in the shadows, and that's the Wheeler's heart and mentality for the last 132 years. That's how long we've been here in Indianapolis, 132 years. Great Depression, World War I, World War II, not closed a day during COVID, right? So we've been here because there's other people who depend on us to be here. And so I love your heart. The people we serve are in the shadows and they're comfortable. We meet them where they are.
Yes, sir.
And so I know you're not doing this for publicity.
Yes, sir.
So you've forged a relationship. It's about relationships. It's not about media attention and publicity for you or your foundation. Yes, because Lord knows you get enough of that, right?
For sure.
Okay. Oh yeah, come on, Dad. Gary, right? Yeah, hi Gary. I'm Perry. Have a seat right there next to your son.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's up?
Okay. Look. I love that, father and son, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Gary, I was just talking to Josh about how did he come to have a heart for Wheeler and those individuals who don't literally have anything but the clothes on their back when they come to us. I was telling him we saw a little more than 700 men, women, and children last night. Yeah, and so just kind of understanding a little bit of his story of how he came to have a heart for the homeless in Wheeler Mission. How about you? I know you're a good dad. You have taught him lessons well, right? Because you've been in that environment before him. You can teach him and guide the young pup. And so I'm just wondering, kind of where did your passion come from for homelessness or those less fortunate?
Well, I'm a believer in Matthew 25.
Okay.
In that parable, Jesus talks about how you've treated those. And he said, Lord, when did you see us? And he said, well, whenever you saw my brothers homeless and naked, or homeless and you didn't help them, without food and you didn't help them, or unsheltered and you didn't help them. As you did them, you did it to me. So that's how we view things. And you can't go anywhere. If you go any city in the United States, if you're out and about, you'll see persons and you'll know. You don't know their circumstances. You don't know how they got there. But if you have compassion in the heart, you realize, okay, that's a human being. That's someone that needs love, whether that's food or whether that's shelter. And we just live right now, over 700,000 persons homeless. We got housing crisis, over 7 million affordable housing needed right now. You have working poor, persons that work full-time jobs, moms or dads that cannot afford to buy a home, let alone live in a home, even an apartment. I mean, affordable rentals. So when minimum wage is $7, but it's costing $25, you need to make $25 or $30 plus to be able to afford an apartment. Let alone just rent. And not including utilities, not including food or a down payment.
Yeah.
And so you see people working 2 and 3 jobs and they can't afford. And so you can't help but have a heart when people are working. And then we have veterans that have served the country. And I've been on the street and run into veterans, and they're living on the street. Someone that served their country, and now they're suffering maybe from mental health, but because of that, they can't get a job.
Yep.
And if you don't have somewhere to live, if you can't give a residence, it's hard to get a job.
Yeah.
All those circumstances. And then personally, I was coaching college ball, and one time we moved, and we had to live with a coworker. My wife stayed with a coworker for a month. Then we had to move to a neighbor, one of our other son's teammates for a month. And then we stayed in an Airbnb, and it was like looking around where we live.
Wow.
It's like we could not find a place to live. And so he experienced that basically about a 3-month period when he was about a sophomore in high school.
Wow. So you still remember that, right, Josh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so I remember Christmas Day, we found a home to stay in, and we leased it. And I remember I took him and his brothers and sisters to that home, and he said, "This is our home." And I said, "Yes." And then 4 years later, we were able to buy a home. And housing had almost, where we lived at, double.
Yeah.
So a house that would normally be about 300,000
Yeah.
had jumped about 600,000.
Yeah.
And I remember him going to college and he says, "This is our home." I said, "Yes. When you get back from school, this will be your home and this will be your room." And even now, even though he's playing for the Colts,
Yeah.
his room is still there. When he comes home, he's
Oh,
got
yeah? Okay. You're
he's
still
got
in that house today.
Yeah.
Oh,
Correct.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so he had a little taste, and obviously he had a roof over his head.
Yeah.
But just that uncertainty of where home is.
Yeah.
Just imagine a young adult, a teenager,
Yeah.
elementary school, middle school child,
Yeah.
not knowing where they're going to sleep at night.
Yep.
Whether that's going to be in the car, and there's stories of kids sleeping in the gym, sleeping under the bleachers,
Really?
or having to sleep with a friend. There was a story of a young man. He was an athlete, had a scholarship to Georgia Tech years ago, and he was going to go to school, but his family, during the time he was in high school, was going from house to house to house, and he worried. He said, "When I'm gone, will these people help out my family?" Because they were helping him out because he's a ball player. But as he went to school, he said, his mother and sister, he said, "I don't know if people are going to help him," and that led to that man actually, he committed suicide.
Oh, my.
The uncertainty of what was going to happen to his family while he was gone, and so it affects all of us, and all of us know someone that has gone house to house.
Yeah.
I've got a fellow I work with in ministry, and he came here, and he was a legal immigrant, and he came here and he was here for a long time, and his family went back. They were deported, and so he was a middle schooler having to go house to house for about 5 years through all of high school and middle school without anywhere to stay until he finally got a residence. And he helps young people in that situation, and even that, the scriptures tell us to care for foreigners.
Yeah.
And this is a young man. There's a young man who was here as a teenager, dealing without a place to stay for like 7 years until he was able to find a home and residence himself.
The mental and physical toll of not having a safe place, not just a place, but a safe place to rest your head for the night. Do you realize that the physical and mental toll that takes? And so, you just experienced just a tiny taste of it. We have people who come to us and have been chronically homeless, and that's not having a safe roof over their heads for 12 straight months. Just the toll that takes. And so we see them each and every night. And so I think people on Facebook Live as well as YouTube, you just saw kind of the heart of Josh's dad. You know where Josh gets it. It's from his dad and his mom. He's had a great support system, a great network, and he hasn't forgotten. He hasn't forgotten. And so I said before, you could tell that he's not doing this for the publicity. He's doing it because it means something to him. That's why we at Wheeler, I was telling Josh, we've been here 132 years.
Wow.
That's why we do what we do. We don't seek publicity. As a matter of fact, we kind of run from it because the people that we serve, they are in the shadows. They're often forgotten by society. And, the Bible tells us to meet people where they are. And that's what we try to do each and every day. And it's obvious that you've done that. And I can't even imagine the effect, Josh, that you're having in that locker room. Go Colts, right? The effect that you're having, on this season. You are a superstar. Don't ever, don't even be modest about it. But when a superstar like you, even superstars like your parents, give back out of compassion, not publicity. It really makes a statement. And so we're just so happy that you chose to partner with Wheeler. And if there's anything I can do, it's my office right there, 3rd floor, on the corner. You got a direct line to me. And we're just going to keep rooting for you guys. And is there one or two more things that they're telling me? I got a couple minutes here. One or two more things that you want to tell the folks that about homelessness. Gary, you just nailed it. Lack of affordable housing is a big key. Mental illness and mental challenges are another big key.
I believe this. Some thought is that one of our political parties wants the government to do everything, and the other party wants private industry to do everything. But as an investor, let's say you're investing in market rate housing, you stand to make a good profit. But when you're dealing in affordable housing, your profit goes down to 5%. So there has to be incentive. Government has to make incentive for private investors and builders to build affordable housing, whether giving them tax breaks or giving them easement in land, offering that land where they can build it, and they can make a profit still, but that way those affordable housing can be built. Because we're not asking private industry and going this by themselves and take a loss, or an investor to make 3 or 5%. But if the city and the county and the state government says, you know what, we're going to put our minds and our energy behind this and make sure our policies are supporting businesses and builders that want to help and create workforce and affordable housing. It takes both the private and the government to do both.
You got that absolutely right. So they give me the wrap-up signal, and being the media stars that you are, you're smooth operators that y'all know what that means, right? And so I just can't thank you enough, Josh. And thank you so much. And Dad, Gary, and is that Mom in the car?
She is.
Oh yeah, she's hiding out in the car. Yeah. Hi, Mom, down. Wish you were over here too, sitting on the bench. We just had some great time talking to Josh and his dad, having an authentic, honest, and real conversation on the bench. And so we just appreciate all that they do for Wheeler and what they've done and what they're going to do in the future. And Josh, we're rooting for you for all the success in the world. And Dad, thank you so much for being who you are, and Mom Downs for being the role models for Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you later.